Man, this is so
Okay.
fantastic. I am so happy that you agreed to be on my show and talk to me today. You're halfway around the world.
Yeah, no problem.
You're in where, Hong Kong? That's absolutely
Yeah,
insane.
I am. It's noon right now.
It's noon. It is midnight. I took a nap. I like not a late person at all. I do not do midnights. I was like, oh man, I gotta get some sleep. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you though. It's so cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
What's noon like in Hong Kong?
Right now I'm in a coffee shop, but there aren't a lot of people because of the lockdown.
Yeah, it's crazy. Are coffee shops and stuff open?
Yeah, they are because we haven't had a lot of cases in Hong Kong since like a week ago, so that's nice.
Yeah, well, since like a week ago. That is nice. And you know, when this thing started happening in January, I thought it was like in response to the protests that were happening for like the first,
Yeah,
right?
it's been a crazy year in Hong Kong.
Yeah, man, what that's got to be so terrifying. And for somebody like
Yeah, it
yourself,
is.
who's an artist, who's able to produce content like you do, how does it affect your creativity?
Oh, honestly, because
Yeah.
most of my work I produce actually in school because I don't have the resources at home. But
Mm,
since the protests and the lockdown, I haven't been able to use as many of my resources because I don't have the access.
that it's crazy. So what do you use at school to produce your stuff?
I I have computers and like printers at school or like paper qualities that I may not have access at home, and my home is pretty small, so I don't have the space to work.
That's crazy. So are you able to draw? Do you paper? I mean, what are you doing? Is it driving you crazy?
It
Not being, yeah,
is.
yeah,
Life at home is hectic with two brothers.
two brothers
Yeah.
and a mom and a dad, and you gotta stay in a house.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that. I, I,
Yes.
I mean, me and my wife, we decided we can't live together anymore. That's what this quarantine has meant to me. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've got this big apartment to myself. I cannot imagine having my brothers with me, or my mom and dad, or
Yeah,
anything
there are
else
like
for that
six
matter.
people constantly around me.
How? Six people? That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So you're not able to do anything.
Not as much as I would like to, but I still try to find some time for myself.
What? So obviously your work is stunning, right? I mean, it's
Oh,
really
thank
interesting to
you.
look at. It's interesting to think that human mind is producing that kind of stuff. What's happening in there when you're actually looking at a piece of art and you're going, okay, this is I'm gonna mess with this.
Well, I believe that art is, the main purpose is to evoke some sort of emotion in
Oh yeah.
in in the audience. And like I thought, well, like, what else would be better than horror? So
So are you a horror fan? Is that what you go to when you're looking for?
I'm actually very much a scaredy cat.
Are you?
I don't do well in like haunted houses or like horror movies, but
But you go
I
though,
really
don't you?
appreciate how it makes. Well, I I like bringing fear to other people. I don't like feeling fear myself.
So you do not do the haunted houses. You don't do the stuff that's scary. And that's even more interesting then.
No, no. I like doing the scaring.
You like doing the scaring.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
we warbled a little bit.
Oh, it's the connection problem. Yeah,
Just a little
sorry,
bit of.
because I'm using the cafe Wi-Fi.
Oh, it's cool. It's absolutely cool. It's okay up until I guess like I think if we both talk at the same time,
Hmm.
the signal gets a little bit jumbled, which is the worst part about a podcast online, is that there's a delay. There's like a little bit
Yeah.
of a delay, so you don't know when I'm going to talk, when I'm going to finish, and I don't know when you're going to stop talking or start talking. So we end up like talking on top of each other. Um,
Yeah, that's annoying.
oh, I know it's really hard. It's not annoying. It's just really difficult for you as the guest because I do this all the time. Like I'm just rude. I'll just jump in on top of people.
I don't
I've got
mind.
I got something to say. I'll just bulldoze my way in there. Man, it's fascinating then that you don't even partake in the genre that you're producing content for.
Yeah, I I don't think I particularly myself am the audience that I am gunning for,
Who are you gonna for?
because I really like rom-coms and like sweet stuff.
That's so
But
interesting.
Yeah.
Are you a storyteller? What are you hoping to do
Oh,
with your stuff?
I used to be. I used to want to be a writer. I'm really good at creative writing.
Yeah, that would be
And
perfect going.
someday I hope to illustrate my own book, maybe.
Why not, right? How long you've been doing this type of work?
Art. I've
Oh,
started. I started actually taking this seriously at um, about 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
hmm.
Yeah.
And going from here, obviously, you said you're in school now. How much longer are you gonna be in school?
I've already, I've just graduated from high school.
Oh, high school!
Yeah.
Congratulations. What is high school in Hong Kong? What age does that
Oh,
put you at?
I just turned 18. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank
College
you.
next.
Yeah, I'm going to take fine art in college this fall.
Okay,
So that's cool.
that's fantastic. Yeah, is that producing art, fine art? Is that making the actual art, or is that studying the history of art and what people are doing?
My course has multiple parts. It has elements of art history, but it also mostly focuses on art making. Yeah.
So the storytelling part, though, that's elusive to you. That's a fantasy that you have going forward that you're going to be able to produce the words that are going to go with your art.
Yeah, but as of right now, I don't think that my writing style is on par with my artwork.
So you think that your artwork is obviously stunning. So you don't think the writing is falling. That's
I
interesting though,
th-
because you have to be able to tell a story within the art itself, don't you?
yeah, but
So,
I feel like it's they're just not on the same level. So I'm still trying to work through it.
like, what kind of quality would you want in your writing to feel good about it? 18,
A
about to
lot of
join, go to college. I mean, obviously, you have time now to work on it too. I mean, what would it look like? I mean, for me, I am a storyteller. I sit and I do write, and I do a lot of writing, and I know it's hard. I mean, you can't let somebody read something that you just produced that you don't have faith in. It's embarrassing, and they've got to put so much
yeah.
effort into it. It's hard.
I haven't had the time to hone my skills in my writing as much as I have in my artwork.
How much time do you put into your art to get where you are right now? What would you say a picture is worth in terms of time?
A picture, it really depends. I think most of my time is actually spent on making the idea, like developing the idea and researching other artists and see how I could make it more effective rather than
Mhm.
actually drawing it out.
What do you mean?
Um, I spend, let's say I spend like 2 weeks on one drawing.
2 weeks,
I
80
spend about
hours,
half,
80
well, not
hours,
the entirety of 2 weeks, maybe like 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day. Okay.
I spend like half of that doing my research and making small drafts before I actually work on the big stuff.
Oh, it's interesting. Small drafts.
Hmm.
So you have the generalization of an idea, the seed, and you do research into it. And now, when I do an art piece, my research would be looking at other images to kind of determine what I want my final graphic to look like. What does your research include?
I like looking at other artists with like similar ideas, or like I
Okay.
look at different periods because I'm really interested in like transcultural stuff. If you look at my work, you can see like there's a lot of like I jump from like modern art to like traditional Japanese art. I look at like different ideas and different artists and how they interpret the same ideas.
And you're looking for a fresh perspective on that idea. At the end of the day, you don't want to duplicate. You want to make something that pops.
Yeah, I suppose I like combining things and see how they work together.
That's fantastic. What kind of stories would you tell? Would it be horror stories as well? Would you tell
Excuse
horror
me, I
stories?
couldn't hear you. Sorry.
It's okay. Would you tell horror stories if you're writing your children's stories?
My children's stories.
Yeah. Would you?
Um,
I don't know why I said
I
children's stories.
don't know.
Did you say
I
that you'd be
think
writing children's stories?
Oh no, I didn't. I said something else, I think.
What kind of? I mean, they're not children's stories. They're like graphic art, graphic novels, manga. I mean, what would you be doing with your
Oh,
art?
I think I would be very interested in manga or like comic books.
It's not manga though, is it? What's it called in the comics? Or is it manga?
It's
A-
manga, yeah.
anime is the actual
It's
movies
the
and
animations
the manga.
anime.
Okay, that's so
Yeah.
cool. I'm not into it. I wish I were. I wish I'd start following it. Maybe I'm a little bit too old. I don't know. When I was a kid, we didn't have stuff coming across the Pacific like they
Well,
do now. You know what I mean? Now it's like the
yeah.
whole world is connected. I was like, man, it would be so cool to be able to watch like, I don't know, Japanese sports on cable television when I was a kid. And now you can watch whatever you want and really be influenced
Yeah,
by
we're like
everybody.
talking like
That's the insane
whole
part.
world apart.
The whole world apart. And it discovered you on Reddit. That's where I
Yeah.
discovered your work at. You had, I don't know where it happened. You got a post and it went a little bit viral, right? And people started to recognize that there's
Yep.
some pretty good skill. Has that happened before to you, or is that the first time that you really got some recognition for your talents?
I've posted my artwork on Reddit before, and it has blew up before,
Uh-huh.
but not on that scale.
Was that big? How'd that feel? Was that scary? Or were you like excited?
It was mixed feelings because a lot of the comments were actually not that positive.
Oh yeah, Reddit's a bunch of assholes, man.
So
Reddit
yeah,
is horrible. I can't.
and like
You go ahead.
being a young girl on the internet, it's scary.
Yeah, get yourself into some shit. And not get yourself
Yeah.
into some shit, but there's some shit out there to get into, which is unfortunate. Which it was also miraculous that you agreed to be on my podcast because I mean it takes a lot of guts. I don't. Did you participate? Is this a bad question to ask? Did you participate in the protests or anything like that? I mean, you have balls. You're like really brave. Like I could tell just by based on you putting your art on Reddit and being willing to be on this podcast, you faced down some pretty scary stuff, haven't you?
I didn't go to the front lines, but I did partake in supporting the movement. Yep.
I am so soft. I don't know what that would feel like. I am so disgusted in my government, and I wouldn't. I don't know if I would be able to take part. Maybe that's an age
Well,
thing.
maybe it's mostly the teenage generation in Hong Kong making the loudest noises right now.
I mean, that's what needs to be done worldwide. People need to start making a lot of noises about a lot of things.
Yeah, if we don't do something right now, we would lose hope for our future.
Oh man! And at
To
the end
the
of the
author.
day, this virus really screwed everything up, didn't it? It stopped it all from
Yeah.
really. It's like all the efforts. The world was watching. China, what are you going to do? And then all of a sudden, everybody's sick or not sick or whatever the hell is happening. You know what I mean? It's just weird. It's weird.
Now that the virus is dying down, we've had more and more voices coming back. And today we have one of the biggest protests in the past few weeks. That's happening today.
Oh, really? Is it happening right now? That's pretty cool.
I think it's later tonight. Yep.
You're actually in the future for me, so I have to wait to see what happens. I've set interviews up with people on your side of the world before in Australia and messed it up the other way, thinking that it was 12 hours on the other direction. It's not a good situation. It's hard to talk to you guys over there. It's really amazing how big our world is. You would not think
Yeah.
12 hours is a long time, but it's really the other side of the world. You're halfway around the world. I'm laying there drifting off, and it just kind of dawned on me: 12 hours is half the time that we have on this planet. Well, she's halfway around the world. How do you live in Hong Kong proper? Like the big
Excuse me?
city? Do you live in the big city?
I do. I live in the heart of the city, actually.
Have you been to New York?
I've never been to America, no.
I feel like Hong Kong would kick the crap out of New York in terms of scale. Am I right about that?
Well, we have, I think Hong Kong is smaller than New York City.
You guys
right?
are tall though, aren't you? Aren't you really high? A lot of like really big condo buildings and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we have very densely packed buildings here.
What's your population in Hong Kong? More than 8 million or less?
Excuse me?
What's your population in Hong Kong? Is it more than 8 million or less?
I think it's close to 8 million. Let me look it up. I think it's 7 million.
7 million. So we got you beat by a million.
Mm,
But I think we're bigger
close
though.
enough.
I think you're tiny. Like you're really tiny in terms of actual space, and we're like spread out. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
7.5 million.
So, I mean, obviously, I'm incredibly interested in the fact that you produce content for horror fans, but you don't like horror itself. Just where does your ideas come from? I guess it's coming from your unique place, isn't it? You're creating things from your own imagination as opposed to borrowing from inspiration, aren't you?
I guess so. A lot of my artwork is like finding very beautiful imagery and then subverting it into something that's horrific and people don't want to look at.
Horrific though. I don't know. Did I see horrific? I saw interesting. I saw like Etcher-esque paintings, and it really appealed to me. I wasn't like freaked out, like this girl's got something wrong with her. I was like, wow, this is interesting. She's doing neat things with the physiology of human beings. Um, how do you think you compare with your contemporaries? Like you're looking around at the other kids in your high school. How are you thinking of their work compared to your work? Are you thinking I'm a genius and these people are dunces, or are you thinking I sit among
Um,
kings and queens
I
of the
just
art world?
think I just think I I do different artwork. I don't I don't like doing overdone artwork or like I don't think art should be just for aesthetical purposes.
What do you think it should be for?
Again, I've said this before. I think it's the main purpose should be to elicit whatever feelings you want in the audience,
And the audience, not you.
not me.
You're not looking
It's
to
about
tell a story of your soul. You're looking to help people recognize stories in their own soul.
a lot of my artwork is up for interpretation. So
That's
yeah.
what art is. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want to have your interpretation. In fact, I bet as the artist, as a writer, I don't like really hearing what people think of my work because it doesn't matter. Because another person is going to read it, they're going to think something different entirely. It's always individually based. You know what I mean? It's like how you feel is great and personal, and somebody else is going to feel something different. Um, I love talking about it though with a group of people who actually have one painting in front of them, and the job this evening is just talk about it for an hour or so.
Yeah, art is really subjective.
I mean, I get the storytelling part being difficult, um, and I guess I've met a lot of people who do art and are able to transcend the actual art itself and make things with other people. Would that be a goal of yours to collaborate with another artist and produce content?
I've right now I'm in the middle of talking to a video game producer,
Hmm.
and there's a writer that I might illustrate for,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
I think they would be very good opportunities for me. But ultimately, I really like working alone as well.
It's difficult. Have you ever collaborated with anybody?
No, I'm still pretty young.
Yeah, you're young, but you seem to have produced a lot of content. What kind of high school did you go to? Like a magnet school or just a normal place with an art class? And you just produced all this there,
Yeah, it was just an art class.
just an art
Mm.
class. I don't know. It must be so frustrating for you not being able to produce anything at all. How are you coping with that?
Yeah, especially during like the lockdown and the protests, I haven't been able to have space for myself to work. It's
Does
been
it
really
take
frustrating.
does it take space? Are you only able to produce stuff when nobody's around?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I work very well when I'm concentrated on things and I get distracted very easily.
You get distracted. You play video games.
My brothers are super loud when they're playing Doom.
Oh, they play Doom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have not played any video games this entire quarantine. I don't understand what's going on with myself, honestly. There's just been a bunch of writing, but I'm living by myself, so I totally get that. I can't produce anything with somebody there. If I'm in a room, and especially an apartment with six people running around being loud and crazy, I'm not gonna be able to write anything. I'll be grumpy. I'll be yelling at people.
Me too.
So you don't like horror. What do you like? What is your genre?
I really like rom-com movies actually,
Oh,
and
you
I
did say
like a lot
you
of
like romantic
animation as well,
animation. What kind of
like
animation?
Pixar, Disney, and as well as what's her name? The Japanese studio with the
Um,
Totoro thing. Oh,
you,
Studio Ghibli.
yeah, Ghibli. Thank you. That's what it's called. I've seen what's the big famous one with the big black monster? I've seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one I've
That
seen though.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away. Yeah, that was amazing. It was really good. It was interesting.
It was
I
very
am.
good.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime that I need to check out. Is that considered anime? The Ghibli stuff?
Uh, I think so.
Because it
I'm
comes
not
from
sure though.
Japan? Is that why? I don't know. It's just
I
interesting.
don't
What would
know
you?
either.
Fine art's interesting because it doesn't. I guess when you were a kid, Pixar is like the first thing you kind of art, isn't it? Picture books and then
Mm-hmm.
Pixar, and then follow along there. But you don't draw Pixar. You don't draw Disney princesses. It's so
Yeah.
fascinating that you're not that style at all. You're not a rom com artist. God, I would love to see your style kind of interpreted in a like a rom com type of book or story.
Yeah. I again, I don't like the way that my like horror artwork or like horror movies or the horror genre in general makes me feel. But I like making other people feel that way.
How does your art make you feel when you look at a finished piece? You don't like it. You like it.
It depends on whether I like it or not,
Well, I mean,
honestly.
that's what I'm saying. If you don't like horror, and you're drawing horror, do you get disappointed with the efforts that you're putting forth, being that you're actually not getting joy out of what you're producing?
No,
Initially,
I
obviously, you're gonna show it to the audience. That's what you're aiming for, to get a reaction from them. And if it's a good reaction, you're gonna be happy. But before that moment, the art is on your easel or however you produce art, and you have to decide it's done, right? You have to decide
mhm.
this is a finished piece that I love and I'm going to share it with the world. But you yourself don't like horror. So how do you decide that this is a good horror pic or image or whatever to share?
For me ultimately I don't make art to make people think it's pretty or like whatever. I make art because I like how I like how it makes me feel. I don't look at the art itself for its qualities. I look at it on how it would make the audience react.
That you
So,
you do look at art for how the audience is going to react to it.
yeah, I do.
So you're the first reaction that you have though. So
Hmm.
you want to experience it as kind of what? You want to feel that fear, that haunted house kind of pulling on you, like this came from someplace scary.
Yeah, I suppose. But I also kind of find a beauty to it.
A beauty to the actual mystery of enjoyment, what people are actually getting out of it. Because you don't actually understand your audience at all. You're like, I don't like this stuff that you guys enjoy. I am just going to give it to you to enjoy and close my eyes as you devour it. Because they're, I mean, what do you think about your audience? The people that are actually going to be consuming your horror pictures?
What I think about my audience, I don't think they're actually that much my people. I'm a very, I think, I like to think I'm a very cutesy person in real life.
A cutesy person. Well, I've got your picture up on Zoom. You're not too bad. I'm sure you do
Thank
okay
you.
as far as that's concerned.
Thank you.
But cutesy as in you like the Disney princesses stuff, but you don't want to produce that content. There's a rift between, I like that, but I'm not going to make it.
I do like the artwork I produce. I just don't think it's, you know, my what I what I look for when I shop or like when I shop look at other artists' work.
As a younger artist that's emerging into the world, do you have a fantasy that your art will actually become someday? Is there something
I'm
that you're
still
looking to accomplish?
yeah. I'm still torn between commercializing my artwork
Mm,
and
yes, this is standard, isn't it? I got that argument. Do you draw
yeah,
for yourself or do you draw to make money? Is there a way to make money with it? I mean, that's my question. Do you write
it's
to make
very
money?
hard to make money off of your artwork.
Do you think you got a shot? Like, honestly?
Honestly, I think I do,
I do
but
too.
I
I
don't think it
agree.
would pay well.
Well, what's pay well? I mean, what's Banksy just dropped off a painting in a hospital and the entire world flipped its shit, right? I mean, how well
Yeah.
does that pay? That seems like he just sold the painting at Christie's, right? Was it Christie's? The thing that shredded? Didn't that thing go for like 7 figures? I don't know. That's Banksy, though. He risked life and limb to put his art on buildings. He's not even rich off of it, is he? He's not earned 1 cent from his work. Are you impressed with what research you're able to do to see what people are producing professionally? Are you?
Honestly, I feel like in the modern art world, conceptualized art is kind of killing the entire atmosphere.
What do you mean
Remember
by?
that
Go ahead.
that duct tape banana thing?
What was it?
Do you remember? Have you
No,
seen
what?
it?
I don't know. What? I can't. I don't. I duct taped what?
Basically, there was a an art exhibit of just someone taping an artist taping a banana
Oh
to the
yes.
wall, and
And
it
somebody
sold
took
for
it down,
100.
and somebody
Sold for
ate it, right? I remember that part.
it sold for $120,000.
And then somebody ate it, ate the banana off the wall. I think it was the guy who bought it, but I'm not
Mm,
100% certain about it.
I
I
have
remember.
no idea.
So dumb though. Yeah, the stuff like that is amazing. That's what you mean by conceptualized art, by somebody saying this is art, and then you just have to accept their decision on the matter.
Well, okay, maybe it is art, but I just don't think it's high art.
I mean, it's not rememberable art, right? Because if you do have a banana hung on the wall and somebody eats it, I'm aware of it. And a lot of other people are going to be aware of it too for various other reasons. Ha ha, funny, somebody ate the expensive wall art or whatever, or whatever reasons you get from it. And I think that does make it art. I think you're right. And then it just doesn't go anywhere from that point. What can you do with it? The banana's gone. The guy who ate the banana is, going to die eventually. He's going to stop telling the story at his bar or whatever. It's not an important thing anymore. So
I
yeah, I get
guess
that.
you can argue that the point is to provoke discussion or something,
Is that art
but
though? Is that a
is it?
discussion? Is that art?
Where's the value in it?
I don't know. That's a very, very interesting subject matter, the banana. I remember that. And I
Mhm.
forgot that it was even art. It was actual art that the guy sold.
It was more
It's
a stunt than an art.
what I mean, there was other art there though too. I remember watching the video of the guy eating the disgusting looking banana. It was not a good looking banana either. It was all brown and gross looking. And he had a stupid smile on his face. And the sad thing for me is yes, there was an artist. I have no clue what that person's name is, but there was art on the walls of that entire building, and that we only saw that one dumb thing. All those other artists
Hmm.
had the opportunity to be exposed, and nobody got exposed except for that. And really, honestly, we don't know
I
anything. I
guess
don't.
it also yeah, I guess it also begs the question: is it just marketing or is it actually art?
Would they
Because most
market
of it,
though?
I don't know. How did people even find out? Like, how did something so stupid become marketed as art and sold for so much money?
Yeah, exactly. Or how did people on opposite sides of the planet experience it and be able to share it together on a podcast months and months and months later, right? I mean, that's what those people did that one time. That's interesting, but it is gone forever. It's never going to be duplicatable. You can't put a banana on the wall at a different museum and have somebody else say, okay, I'm going to eat it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's never going to have the ripple effect that it has. I mean, the idea and that Banksy thing, that's what I was talking about when we got disconnected. Banksy and the shredded art that came down. That's kind
Mhm.
of conceptualized as well, too, in terms of, he said, here's a painting of mine, guys, you can buy it. And then he shreds it and ruins it before it even leaves the auction house.
Mhm.
It's so fascinating. I mean, that's wonderful for him, I guess, and Christie's. But who else does it do anything for?
Yeah.
So how you as an artist competing with that is difficult. Do you remember what was that guy's name from Transformers? The
Which one?
actor, the main one, the one that went
Uh,
crazy for a minute.
I don't remember.
Uh,
Not that memorable.
Shia LaBeouf,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Shia LaBeouf. Do you remember his thing he did? He put himself in a room and he let strangers come in and touch him.
I don't remember. I think
It's
it just goes to show if you're famous, everything you do is art.
Or you could make everything that you do art, right? I mean,
Yeah.
who's a famous Hong Kinian? I don't know. How do you say Hong Kong people? Who's a famous Hong Kong artist that you
Excuse me.
appreciate?
Hong Konger.
A Hong Konger, is that what it
A Hong
is?
Kong artist? Yeah, a Hong Konger.
Did you hear what I said? Hong Kongers.
Hong
Who's one
Kongian.
of who's one of your favorite Hong Kong artists that you're that I should know about
There's a sculptor called Johnson Zhang that I really appreciate.
in Hong Kong, or is it out here in the world?
He's based in Hong Kong, yeah.
Oh, he is. Is the sculpture that you're talking about in Hong Kong?
Yeah, he I think he's held multiple workshops in Hong Kong universities.
Oh, really? What kind of sculpture is it? Is it
He
rock or is it
takes
clay?
it's ceramics. I think it's
Oh,
porcelain.
interesting. Porcelain.
Mm.
So he pours that, right, into some kind of mold that he carves. How does that work?
No. Takes he does a lot of human sculptures with like faces and stuff and distorted faces. And
Mhm.
sometimes he tears them apart and like he
Oh,
adds things to it. And he makes a lot of
that's
fat
your type of
babies.
stuff, right?
I just
That's
think
your.
it's really cool.
If you're looking at the human face and the human body, you can see the separations in the muscles, right? I mean, you could see kind of how there'd be more there that you could do with it. I mean, yeah, being an artist is interesting because you're kind of looking for. I mean, as an artist, what are you looking for before you begin putting your sketch, your picture, your art together? What kind of feeling is it?
Inspiration.
Obviously, inspiration,
I
right? But I
I
mean, it takes.
revisit old ideas.
It's interesting. I again, I'm more of a writer. I do art with my hand, but not necessarily like you. You're 100% a different animal to me. But I imagine going from the inspiration, which is that spark that goes, I got to make this, to actually putting it on paper is 100% always different, right? The inspiration and the final work, they never match up. It's never as good, or it ends up being something totally different. And usually when it's different, you're mostly impressed. But I guess my question is, once you get that inspiration and you start working, what's the feeling that you're looking for that you're going to continue with that specific piece?
Usually I only make like a very, very rough draft and I let it take wherever it needs to take me. And I'm very much a perfectionist, so if I don't like it, I just abandon it very quickly. I don't let it go
Oh,
anywhere. I
that's
don't
the answer
work it
right
till
there.
I make it.
So basically, you know immediately this is not something that I'm going to pursue.
Hmm.
Interesting. I mean, I have work on my computer from decades ago that I'll pull up and I'll work on, I'll edit it and make things different and try to sell it. You know what I mean? Do you do that with sketches? Have you taken something that you've done within the last 4 years and reworked a sketch that you thought was dead but actually had some life to it?
I don't think so because I know it's a very bad habit for an artist, but I throw away all of my stuff
Oh,
that I
you
don't
horrible
like.
person. What is wrong with don't
Yes,
do
I
that?
know.
That's so awful. I
I
mean, I
know
guess
it's a
you have the
sin.
ability to say it's not worth anything. I don't want the world to see it. But the world probably is
It's just
begging to see it.
I don't like feeling like a hoarder.
Like a hoarder. Yeah, I guess you have to feel like a hoarder because you have paper, don't you? Yeah, can you imagine getting in the sculpture and how you would have to have all types of stuff
Oh,
hanging around? Can you imagine
yeah.
being a sculptor
Couldn't.
in the home that you're living in right now with your brothers and family?
Oh
We
no,
should
everything would be ruined in seconds.
everything be ruined in seconds. Are your brothers that chaotic?
Yes, they are.
Are they older or younger?
One is older and the other is younger
Oh, okay.
by
Which one do you
3 years each.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Big difference. Who are you closer to, or both of them?
I guess my younger brother, because my older brother isn't at home as much.
He's already in college.
Yeah, he's in college and he spent like 2 years abroad.
Oh, cool. Where did he go?
We went to Scotland to study.
Would you do stuff abroad? Would you travel, or are you done with the world? You're gonna stay in Hong Kong.
I think I'm gonna stay in Hong Kong for now, but I'm not sure about the future. I would like to see more stuff,
Where
but
would you
I'm
want
a
to go?
very I think maybe France or
Oh yeah.
Spain.
I've never been to Paris. I've been to France. I've been through France. It's interesting. Spain would be nice too. Yeah,
Mhm.
not the United States.
Uh, the States. I would like to visit, yeah, but I don't think I would ever want to live there.
Oh, you wouldn't want to live in this horrible place?
The political climate is just not for me.
My God, talk about the political climate though, you guys. What is going on over there? Didn't your president, isn't your, don't you have a prime minister that's basically China's pocket puppet?
Which one?
There was a lady.
Lamzang?
Wasn't
Yeah,
the lady was like, hey,
Carrie
everybody,
Lam.
let the Chinese, whatever, what was the situation? They wanted to arrest people just because they wanted, that's the thing that you guys
It's a
protest.
very authoritarian state right now. It's
Yeah,
not
man.
fun.
We
They
like the,
they're going to pass a law called the national anthem law.
what is it?
Basically,
Oh, you're breaking up on me a little bit. What's the national anthem law?
you can't. Basically, they can arrest you for disrespecting China.
I mean, 20 years ago, when it happened, when China or Hong Kong went back into, China's control or whatever, the whole world thought it was going to happen, right? This
Mhm.
little mecca of freedom in the middle of communist China was going to go away. And it took 20 years, I guess, but it's finally happening. It's just really sad.
It is. I don't. I've been talking seriously with some of my friends and my family, and we're seriously considering getting out before it happens.
Getting out before it happens. Do you think there's a time frame for that to occur? Or is it kind of like it may happen tomorrow or it may not happen in 10 years?
So Hong Kong was legally British land until 1997, and they basically signed a treaty saying that in 50 years, Hong Kong would be fully dependent on China. Right now, it's a special administrative region,
Mhm.
but basically, the treaty states that on 2047, Hong Kong would be fully back into China's property. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Um, how do you feel about that? I mean, you'll be what,
It's
42
very
years old at
it,
that point, won't you, or something like that?
it's it's a very rocky and uncertain road for us. Yeah, because right now, the only reason why I can access higher education or like westernized media and like freedom of speech is because I'm not I'm still in Hong Kong while it's an independent special administrative region.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to talk to you otherwise. We wouldn't be able to have this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, I don't think, if you were not in Hong Kong. I don't think I've ever found a Chinese artist or writer on the internet.
Well, they're not allowed to go on the internet.
They have
That's
their
the
own intranet,
thing.
right? Something like that.
They have their own network hidden somewhere
Network.
that we're not. Yeah.
Weibo chat or whatever. I have never played with anything associated with
Mm-hmm.
China. It's a giant market, though. The NBA is scared to lose it. Hollywood movies don't want to have their movies boycotted. The whole world seems to be bowing down to China's, whims or whatever it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, talk about politics. We have this horrible buffoon of a man as our president who doesn't make
Uh,
he doesn't make any sense. But what I'm allowed to do is I'm allowed to say that I can make fun of my government. I can I can go on Twitter and I can ridicule him and I don't have to worry about being arrested. And God, man, those images that came out of Hong Kong earlier this year were heartbreaking. Like, you
they
kids, what
are.
you were doing was like you were at war. Your battle was happening, and I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you. And it's not.
We have like it's really the government is really trying to suppress what we're trying to say. We have like people, the police barge into people's homes at like 4 in the morning to arrest them, and I know some of my friends they're getting like 10 or 15 years in prison just for protesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's horrible.
I don't know how that would feel. I do know how that would feel. I can imagine how that feel quite terrible. That you can't even raise your voice up to say, I don't like what's happening right now.
Mm.
Um, I mean, this is your time, right? This is an artist. This is the opportunity for you to speak to people through a medium that doesn't actually require words. People like you have been so powerful throughout history because you're able to articulate things without actually putting words or any on paper. I mean, it's been really interesting. Do you have kind of the, I don't know, what would you call it? Do you want to express politics in your work, in your art
I
somehow?
am thinking about it because, you know, it's still like a way to immortalize it so it doesn't get lost forever because, you know, other things can be erased, but not this.
Yeah, no, right. I guess you would already be thinking about that right now. You've had 6 months to kind of let it play in your mind. How do I want to represent my generation's struggle here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Do you know how you want to
Yeah.
do it? I mean, you said sculpture. I love the idea of sculpture too. I love playing with clay. I thought it was a wonderful experience to build something with coils or whatnot. Um, how would you want to express it? Would it be with the art that I've seen that you've already produced, or would you want to do it with something bigger, grander that people can't miss?
I've had a couple of ideas, but mostly they're paintings.
Paintings.
And yeah, um,
Man, paintings would be huge too.
a
I
lot
mean,
of younger artists are actually using our political climate as a catalyst for the artwork.
yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah, that's exactly what you would do. What are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys talking? Are you able to get together and brainstorm? I mean, I think we've mentioned teamwork or cooperating with people is a fantastic way to produce content. You want to work with writers and whatnot. Are you talking to writers in Hong Kong and how you can get more stuff out there?
I
Communicate
have a
with more.
few. Yeah, I do have a few writer friends and art friends that I've been talking to, and we've been talking about making a group project or collaboration that maybe we can voice our struggles with.
So, I mean, you talked about you had friends get arrested and they have to spend the next 15 freaking years in prison. That's heartbreaking. As
Mm,
somebody who is like thinking about producing content that might have a political message, does it scare you that accidentally you might do something to violate these rules that are there to prevent you from speaking your mind and making people think differently? I mean,
there's
honestly, you're an artist, so that is on your mind all the time anyway, right? Does it make
mhm.
you nervous that you could accidentally piss off the wrong person by drawing a line the wrong way?
There's a very definitely a worry there because not everyone likes political artwork. They don't like politicizing uh, artwork because they think it's meant to be, appealing to everyone.
Yeah.
And inevitably, I'm going to piss off some people, such as my family or like
Huh.
the
Interesting.
government. But
I have a
I do
daughter.
think it's kind of.
She's, I'm sorry, I have a 5-year-old little girl. I cannot imagine her in 13 years potentially, incurring the wrath of a totalitarian regime. You know what I mean? It just scared the living crap out of me. I guess your parents would be quite mad at you if you did something like that, huh?
Hmm. They
But you,
would.
but you have to. I mean, what is there a rift right now in Hong Kong between generations because of this idea
Oh,
of losing freedom?
there is definitely a very big uh, gap between the older generation and the younger generation, mostly because the younger generation were mostly born after Hong Kong became a special administrative region,
Mm-hmm.
and what the older generation mostly holds a stance about how uh, we shouldn't fight for freedom with violence or whatever. But
You
a
guys
lot of
didn't fight with violence though, and that was the most respectable thing that I saw on the media
mhm,
is that you guys fought by passive resistance in a way, right? I mean, you fought by being
Yeah.
there and refusing to go away, and it was so admirable because the violence was being done. It was being done to those protesters, and they still stayed
Hmm.
and maintained a Gandhi-like presence of just peace. Listen to what we're saying. We're not going away. We want to be heard. It's beautiful. It was really well done. Um,
Thank you.
well, I mean, I wish it had done something, and it just doesn't feel like nothing can do anything.
I think the older generation is very blinded, very one-sided. They don't see the injustice that is being done to these protesters, and just, we shouldn't do this to the government because they protect us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the government that they got to experience a level of freedom that you guys never got to. You did not get to experience in your lifetime.
Because
And
this is going to be our future. Like,
this is your
for
future.
lack
I mean,
for a
it's
bit
honestly,
lack of words.
it's not even
Us.
your future. Yes, you're going to have to experience it, but you're still going to have freedoms working up until when it actually changes over. If you have children, they're going to grow up with no freedom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know exactly. Freedom, such a weird word, but you know what I mean. There's going to be more restrictions on them. There are more restrictions on you, and there are a lot less on your parents or their parents. God, we're talking like
Mm-hmm.
5 generations here of slowly, incrementally taking away freedoms.
Not to sound blunt, but the older generation is they're gonna die sooner than us. You know, we're just looking for out for ourselves because they're going to have a level of privilege and freedom that we're not going to experience in the future when this actually goes to shit.
What do you think the future is going to be like? Not for you guys specifically, but you do have China kind of riding roughshod over the world, doing whatever they want. And if you look at Hong Kong, you think, God damn, did you guys seriously plan 50 years of government, basically? That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. We can't even plan 4 years of government in my country. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
China can go, okay, guys, 5 generations, we're going to take all your freedom away and do it and not back down. I mean, the kids that are doing this stuff to you guys weren't probably alive when Hong Kong became China. They went back to China's control. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And even when the treaty says we're going to have freedom for 50 years, it's very much not true because the Chinese Communist Party is already meddling with our own government.
Yeah, because it's not even like the rules of the government are. It's like things are being manipulated behind the scenes. If you
Mm-hmm.
guys vote, you're not being able to vote on what you actually want to vote for. Things are
Mm-hmm.
being kind of handled behind your back, basically. And it's not just you. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like it's happening everywhere. And I don't know. It's very interesting. I write, excuse me, speculative fiction. So I like the apocalyptical nature of the story that we seem to be telling as a species. But it's also very scary to be living it at the same time. It's fine to
Uh-huh.
read in a book. You know, it's fun to watch it on a movie. It's fine to see a scary picture or whatnot. But to know that this stuff is actually happening in the world, I think this
It's
is
very
why,
surreal to
yeah,
realize that you're basically living in a dystopia right
yeah.
now.
And it's been better. I mean, it's been worse. It's been a lot worse. That's the worst part. Like if you look at your quality of life and then 100 years ago, look at the quality of life of the person that probably was standing in the exact same spot that you're standing right now, you're better off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm in the East Village of Manhattan. 100 years ago, a person standing exactly where my feet are right now had nothing. They were starving, probably. You know what I mean? They probably had 18 people around them
Mm-hmm.
in this stupid apartment. I mean, they were miserable. They lived there and they didn't know anything different. But now I'm able to afford to live here on my own. My refrigerator is filled with food, and I can leave and go get anything I want or have a conversation with somebody 6 feet distance, but still I can have a conversation with anybody. And there's a lot of we're living in a really good time, but it does seem scary.
Yeah, it is. I think it's very important for us to recognize our own privileges. Of course, my life is so much better than maybe some farmer in China who doesn't even realize they're like
Or the
being
Uyghurs,
secluded
right?
from the rest of the world.
We
Mm-hmm.
know what's happening to the Muslim population in China. I mean, they're being
Yeah,
organ harvested for
horrible,
Christ's sake. I don't even know.
horrible.
I don't even know how that's happening on this planet. I
Yeah, I
really
think
just don't
it's
know.
very important that we recognize our privilege and how we can help these people by talking about these issues.
Yeah, you have your entire generation in Hong Kong have got giant steel balls. That's amazing
Mhm.
that you're doing what you're doing. And also, I don't know, I think we started a little bit earlier than noon for you guys, and I don't want to keep you much longer. I really appreciate you being
Oh,
able
no
to talk to me
problem.
today. Do you want to talk about anything that you have in the world that people should know about? Where can they find your artwork and experience it?
My artwork, you can find it on Instagram.
Instagram,
My handle is K0Ella.
K0 Ella. Okay.
Hmm.
And is that the only place? Do you have a website?
I'm making one, but
Oh, good for you.
I'm yeah. I don't
Good for
have a
you.
portfolio yet.
I guess that'd be the next step for you, right? Producing some kind of work that people can look at and start paying you for,
It's
buying
in
your
the
prints.
works. I'm receiving some commissions and stuff that I'm
That's
working
crazy.
on.
Well, again, I thoroughly enjoy talking with you. I'm completely
Oh, you
impressed
too.
with what you guys have gone through in the last 6 months. And honestly, the world will be different, right? I hope. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We've been stuck
Hopefully
inside
for
for
the better.
almost 2 months. But
Hopefully it's gonna change for the better,
yeah,
not
right.
for the worse.
You're an optimist too, so I hope you maintain.
Mm.
I hope you maintain that. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay.
You too.